Hi, this is Taxis Chronicles. I'm your host, Simon Rushton. Today we have a lovely lady in the car, and she's been doing a PhD in lakes. So do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so what I'm looking at is we're basically looking at the effect of extreme climatic events on lakes. So obviously climate change is increasing air temperature, but also there's an increase in the frequency and intensity of extreme events like storms and heat waves. And we're looking at how that's affecting lakes, because lakes actually are extremely important for our society. Most of lakes and reservoirs being sort of fake lakes, pretend man-made lakes, they actually contribute something like 90% of available fresh water. So that's for drinking water, for agricultural irrigation, all the kind of industrial uses you can imagine. So they're really important.
I thought we got, like London drank the Thames water. It's filtered every day and we drink it.
Yeah, I think a lot of water here does, but in the world globally, something like 90% of the fresh water comes from reservoirs, but also reservoirs can come from rivers. They sort of make a lake. They sort of create a lake out of river inputs.
Okay, like a dam.
Yeah, they dam it and then they treat it and they use it like that. A lentic or like a stable water.
Okay, so what made you want to get into this?
It's a bit random. I don't know, nothing. I was studying at university geography, and then after studying I got into a project looking at the East African rift lakes and using satellite data, and that was just a sort of short fellowship, and it was really fascinating. And then from that I suddenly had the skills and the contacts to apply for the PhD that I would never have heard about otherwise, I guess.
Did you go to East Africa then?
No, we never got to go. So the part, it was sort of, they had...
It's in Kenya, yeah?
Yeah, so this was Lake Turkana we were looking at in particular, which is in Kenya.
I've been there.
Have you?
I used to live there for 5 years.
No way.
Okay.
That's insane. Well, they have people collect the data, unfortunately, and then you use satellite data, which is freely available. So you end up studying these amazing places, and you never need to go there.
Okay.
But tell me about Lake Turkana.
Oh, I'd love to tell you about that, but I want to focus more on you on this interview rather than talk about Lake Turkana. There's many wonderful places in Kenya to go and see. About natural reservoir, natural rivers, and the Rift Valley, and all these other places.
Did you see the flamingos?
Oh no, it wasn't there that season.
Oh.
Yeah, but they were. Yeah, they're interesting birds with that. What was that, algae, like this acid kind of alkaline algae or something.
Yeah, because it's semi-alkaline, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a very...
makes them pink. That's why it makes them pink, I believe, from what I understand.
Yeah, and it's all the fish there are like, it's such an ancient ecosystem that they're like types of fish that they don't see anywhere else in the world.
Okay. That's interesting.
But that's what it was all about, really, is the algae there that the flamingos eat. They were finding that because upland they had changed they had built lots of dams and stuff. They were changing the flow into the lake, and that was stopping the algae from forming, and that was going to have big knock-on effects for the larger ecology.
Oh, okay.
And also then for the fish, and then there's like something like 300,000 people who live off the fish as their primary source of protein there.
How are they going to resolve that?
Oh, it's a bit of a scary situation, to be honest. I think there's a lot of uncertainty for people who live around there and are really dependent on the lake, because they are using a lot of the water from the lakes that run through Ethiopia to Kenya. They're using a lot of the water for irrigation to build up plantations.
What,
on site.
Ethiopia is, or?
Yeah, funded by, they're a bit more wealthy, aren't they, than Kenya, and they've got a bit more lobby power behind it. So there's the water. Water has a lot of issues like that because, water runs through countries, but other countries survive on that water, but one country might decide that they're going to use that water for something.
Yeah, it's like Lake Victoria.
Yeah, in Uganda.
Yeah, which goes on to Uganda, Kenya. There's a split from what I understand, the borderline or somewhere along. And there's also the Nile with the Sudanese or something like that, where one group of people want to do something and another group of people want to do another thing, and or want things to stay as they are. And it just causes loads of you could see future wars being caused if they don't have a mediator, or they can't reasonably say, yeah, fair enough, we recognise everybody needs water to look after themselves. So when you finish your PhD, what's the future for you then?
Well, it depends. I can either just use the skills I've learned, which is all about like coding and data analysis, and writing reports and things, and go into something a bit more sort of policy, like something that might be not related to lakes in London, or I could try and stick into lakes, which can be difficult because then you might end up having to get a job. You might end up then you're staying in academia or research, and then you have to take your jobs where you get them, which might mean moving around a bit more, which can be a bit unsettling.
But you're exploring the world.
I would love to do that. It's my boyfriend. He's so bloody London centric.
Well, what are you going to do? Go for your dreams, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, because he actually, talking about Lake Victoria, we went to Lake Victoria, which is because Pfizer is his sister, and they're from Uganda, and we went to Lake Victoria, and actually there's an amazing lake. This is my dream. There's an amazing lake called Lake Bunyoni in Kibale, where his family are from. And this is the most maddest lake. You drive up and up and up a mountain because it's a crater lake. And then suddenly you think, how can a lake be here? And suddenly this enormous lake with all these tiny little islands in the middle of this huge jungle crater. It's just magical. And no one's really studied that much. And they think potentially it could be an extremely deep lake. And there's lots of stories in the area about, having sort of mystical drown. Oh, that's late. But anyway, that would be the dream. I'd love to study that lake.
So,
I could get out here.
Okay. But well, thanks for that great interview. To the listeners, don't forget to listen to our sister podcast, as Africa Investing Stories. Please like and share, and leave a comment based on this episode. Thanks a lot.